Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, June 20th, and apparently YouTube has changed its chat web page a little bit, so now my text and chat looks messed up. I noticed that they took away the crown and now I'm just highlighting the moderators and people who are in charge on chat in yellow. Well, at least me in yellow, so that the owner of the live stream. We still have time to do these quests, so great for that, and that's going to be a thing. I'll fix the chat later, don't worry. I'll see if I can fix it.
Can you go get some readings for me? I'm sure it'll be fine.
We're still doing this Time Tinkerer quest. Apparently we're gonna get a regular thing, build a deck of any size, and we'll fill it with 30 cards with shadow reflections. Oh, okay, so I think inherently there's a mage deck to be made here. Let's see. Shadow reflections of the same thing. Deal 2 damage, add 1 elemental to your hand. Make spells cheaper. Mirror entry to... Like, I know there isn't a spell. Seems like we have to make a standard deck, so this is gonna turn out. But whatever, we'll double up on those. We will double up on those. And we'll double up on those, and we'll double up on those. And I think we'll probably get rid of this and just hit end and see what that does. That should work pretty well. I spent some extra time looking through all of the games for today's news. It's not going to really change too much. Of course, notifications are still not working. They're just not happening at all for my channel. What was that?
Jaina versus
That was a weird sound.
the light shall bring
I think
victory.
at this point YouTube has decided to just blacklist my channel. I'm also in a weird position now because I don't really feel like I should dispute, or, well, I'm still going to dispute content ID claims and try the fair use claim. Gosh, what is this sound effect? The sound effect is awful.
Job's done.
Awful. But Universal Music Group in particular, who handles Disney and several other people, has completely decided to just not honor fair use claims at all. And so, playing Lego Star Wars: The Force Awakens, there's a lot of monetized claims there that somebody literally at UMG just went through every single one of my claims, and they certainly weren't looking at it. There's evidence based on the timing between the emails that people could not have actually even read or read the disputes, nor listened or watched the video. So you know they're not doing what they're supposed to be. Furthermore, I don't think it's legal for a rights holder group to act on the behalf of another and file copyright claims, although I guess technically the YouTube thing isn't a legal process at all, so that you can violate YouTube's rules pretty easily and they don't care.
Is someone injured?
In the long run, this is a long sentence to say. I think you may see some ads on some of my footage that isn't actually bringing any money to me. I don't see a reason, however, to take those ads, take the content and the music out and have the process that I was calling Content ID rot happen to my videos. Better that you listen to the music and skip the ads. So if you see any ads on my channel for at least the next 6 months, you can almost certainly assume that those ads are not giving any money to me, and you can skip those easily without any fear of hurting a small-time YouTuber. This is the biggest problem with the YouTube kicking out small creators and new creators is now there's really no reason not to violate copyright. I should go start a different channel and just upload stolen footage, entire movies, entire TV series, because who cares? Like, until you get those 40,000 watch hours or those 4,000 watch hours and the 1,000 subscribers, you're not getting any money anyways. You have no chance. You've taken a system that was benefiting people by giving them a few pennies to be on the straight and narrow and taking that away, and now there's no reason not to try to run a scam. And ignore copyright completely. So yeah, I think as just a matter of saving myself time, I'm just gonna ignore copyright for the most part and let people run ads. In most instances, I think the copyright deadlock might also be in effect in a lot of instances for me too, where different companies are claiming different things. But so that's all I really have to say, I guess, about that. That did not play the way I would wanted it to play. That certainly did not play right. So let's see. If your deck has only odd cost cards, I don't have odd cost cards. We'll put in a couple more cards in play, I guess. The other thing is I started playing Black Mirror 2. 8 years difference between the 2000 year release of Black Mirror 1 and Black Mirror 2 in 2011. I don't know. I think we're gonna have to decide to mess with the volume here for a while. So let's go ahead and just turn that down quite a bit. Black Mirror 2 definitely is improved in the graphics. It's definitely a tiny little improvement in the gameplay. It seems like I got through Act 1 a lot faster than it probably took me to get through Act 1 in the first game. I'm sticking with it and trying to finish it because I'm kind of under a rush of as I'm just constantly also falling behind. So there's only 2 of these, so I literally can't use this until I have a 1-turn kill. Or at the very least I could use this when I'm close to 10th turn and get a bunch of elementals. See, this would be 1, 2, 3. And if I wait next turn, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I wait 2 turns. So let's just continue with the wait. This is an odd weekly tavern brawl. It really is a waiting system. See, those are like the only 2 copies of that card I'm ever gonna have. So if I play this, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then in the turn. Let's see if I played this and then this. I guess that works.
I can't do that.
There we go.
It is finished.
There we go, we've got our win. Good, I can turn the audio back up now, and hopefully we won't have to listen to that. That sound effect. And I'm making pretty good progress on the daily quest already. The problem with Black Mirror 2, however, is it seems like it's not written by a native English speaker. The writing seems awful. Maybe it's because it's translated to English. I think that might have been the case with Black Mirror 1. The first cutscene before you even start the game in Black Mirror 2 shows like a murder committed by the character of the first game, and then there's literally no murder or investigation until you're at the very end of Act 1. So you play an entire act starting with a very simplistic tutorial puzzle to change a fuse, and then you kind of just do errands and wander around. Like, there's a small motivating factor that your mother, as the new character, passed out and is in a coma, but there's really nothing you can do about it. You're just trying to go yell at somebody who you are blaming for that. So it's just not good gameplay, and it kind of spoils and makes the game the surprise of the game, or what I assume is going to be the surprise of the game. Seems pretty obvious. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a twist of it. I also know from reviews that most of Black Mirror is a flashback, so at a certain point we are just going to run into, I suppose, I'm in Act 2 now, so I suppose by the end of Act 2 into Act 3, Act 4, and Act 5, assuming there is 5 acts, I imagine all of that is flashbacks, and what is occurring in the modern time doesn't matter. The voice acting is really horrible. There's a doctor there that sounds like Christopher Walken, who has a very unique way of speaking because he, I believe, had brain injuries in a car accident or a stroke or something, and if it actually is Christopher Walken voice acting in a video game, that's not good. Like, in all honesty, if it weren't for the fact that he probably needs the Screen Actor Guild health coverage, I would say he shouldn't work. That's one of the major problems with SAG as in the Screen Actors Guild, is that you have to make at least one movie per year to stay in SAG to get their health insurance, and so some very unhealthy people, very old people, end up taking roles for movies that they shouldn't really have to take, and probably wouldn't take if they were just pensioned into a health insurance plan based on, I don't know, earning a certain amount, paying a certain amount of dues, or just being in movies in general for, say, 4 or 5 years. Betty White is another example of somebody who might very well only be taking roles because of health insurance reasons, although I would suspect she probably likes it too, likes to act. Moving on, we've got some news. Let's go through it. Let's try to rush through this, and so I can get back to Black Mirror 2, and rush through that so I can get back to Borderlands 2. I watched, by the way, a ESA speedrun, I believe, of 3 people speedrunning through all of the original missions, none of the DLC of Borderlands 2, in about 2.5 hours. So I am certainly, as a single player, taking my time and not speedrunning the game, taking a lot longer than that. But I also think I might be close to halfway point on the main story, which is kind of nothing when you start adding all the DLC together. PC Gamer has an article that a popular antivirus software may corrupt Dark Souls remastered save files. Let's get into that. By the way, I also did something pretty crazy and uninstalled Windows 10 Firewall Control. It's a program that pops up a warning message before something tries to access the internet. It's still controlling the default Windows 10 firewall. It just adds a pop-up message, something that was definitely prevalent in firewall software that you needed before Windows had firewall software integrated. However, at this point, like, I'm only installing games, and I've had this software installed for probably 4 years straight, and I've never said no to any software. It's always yes, you can access the internet. Maybe I tried to block 1 or 2 pieces of software that was just gonna download ads, but that's kind of it. So I decided, you know what, this thing has probably been sitting on my CPU, taking up probably less than 1% of the CPU processor time, and probably less than 1% of the RAM, but I'm just not using it. And so I decided to uninstall it. Hopefully that doesn't turn out to be a huge mistake. The firewall is still there, just Windows by default is gonna, I think, allow anything except for the most suspicious activity ever. Bandai Namco has responded with a fix for this antivirus corruption thing. Apparently, players using Bitdefender and Windows Defender have reported corrupted save files, indefinite load times, and instances where cloud sync services, Google Drive for example, interprets save files as in use and therefore makes them inaccessible. Let's see. It seems the problem's been kicked up to publisher Bandai Namco under the headline warning Bitdefender and Windows Defender may treat Dark Souls remastered saves as corrupted files. Why specifically those files are being treated as corrupted files? It seems likely what might be happening is that the files are opened for writing immediately, and then they're not closed for writing until they're not closed for writing after a game should close it. Like, ideally, good programming would be to open the file for writing, save your file every time you save, and then close the file. Or more ideally, you would want to make some backups and have multiple saves. This is one of those instances of yet another Japanese company just not really knowing how Windows works when they really should. Let's see. The cloud services saying the files are in use would be that a instance of the file being open for writing. Also, it probably screams to bad programming, because I would imagine at this point the libraries you would use for file manipulation should be using a few different mechanics compared to the old days, making revisions, making versions, doing shadow copies and hidden backups. There's a lot of features in Windows 10 that could be used and should be used. Let's see. Apparently, if you just exclude these save files from your antivirus software, everything should be alright. But it's possible your antivirus software might touch the file and do something to it and corrupt it before you get around to it.
You will wither and rot.
So yeah, that sucks. Next article we have: Fortnite earned $100 million on the iOS in just 90 days. I think we've probably already had that information. In comparison, Clash Royale? Yes, Clash Royale made $154 million in its first 90 days, putting Fortnite at second place, and then third place is way lower. Honor of Kings made $33 million in the first day. So, yeah, Fortnite is big. I didn't realize Clash Royale was that big. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article: educational app TinyTap raises $5 million towards accessible learning. This Tel Aviv-based educational company, TinyTap, announced yesterday it raised $5 million in Series A funding round by Aleph, an Israeli venture fund. Seems like Israel is sort of set to be a new center of video game development, assuming Israel can stay stable and politically stable and not irritate all of its neighbors. Like, I don't know if I would really want to start a video game company in Israel if I know every single game I make would not be purchased by most of the Middle East and many other countries around the world. Let's move on though. I'm not going to get into a rant about that. First game we have on Steam is called Space Guard 80. There was quite a few, you know, RPG Maker looking games I just closed. I don't think every single 2 days I need to go through the same song and dance about, oh, here's another game that clearly has no effort put into it. So I closed those. Space Guard 80 is a casual adventure indie action game. It doesn't it's a side-scrolling shooter, but I'm not sure I'd call it a actual bullet hell shooter, as much as it seems like it's more of a mobile game that's a little bit slower.
Out of cards.
It would be a very introductory style of a bullet hell shooter, because there just aren't that many bullets on everything. Everything is big pixel and block. Space Guard 80 is 40% off for $1.19. And it's the first game from this developer, and it looks pretty enough to at least give it the time to mention it, but that's about it. It's not good enough to make me actually want to play. Your Gamer has an article that says Limbo and Inside launch on the Nintendo Switch next week. We certainly knew that information already, it's just being re-mentioned. And that is a great example of, it was probably 6 months ago that Limbo and Inside were announced, and instead of is this guy really gonna kill himself? No, I didn't think so. Yeah, it's a great example of just like the hype train not really making sense. That something can get announced and then get forgotten, and then 6 months later you have to announce that it's coming out again. And this was announced over the course of E3, which is problematic in itself. Somebody wants to be my friend. Alright, I'll hit accept and we'll see what happens there.
You asked for it.
I guess you just don't want to announce a game around E3. If they had announced 6 months ago that Limbo and Inside was coming out a year from that point, so 6 months from now Limbo and Inside came out, you would then be very far away from E3. But the fact that 2 weeks after E3 this game is coming out, it's going to be pretty easily forgotten. Also, the Steam Summer Sale allegedly starts tomorrow, so there is that confusion too. I don't know if you couldn't probably get Inside and Limbo for a pretty decent discount on Steam tomorrow. I would say anything that's on sale right now, any weekly sale, any daily sale, and practically anything that was on sale for the past week, probably isn't going to have a better deal for it available compared when the summer sale happens. However, for me, I guess that doesn't really matter because my plans haven't changed. I'm going to spend about $300 on the Pinball Arcade Pro Packs to get all those things, because those pinball tables that were licensed are losing their license on June 30th. We saw nothing at E3 that indicated any new company is picking up those licenses. It seems like the pinball tables are the license holders for the pinball tables are a kind of slot machine gambling company, and they're probably not going to license it to games. Maybe they will, but we got no indication that that's happening anytime soon. It would have been kind of amazing, and that was one of the things we were trying to see if that would happen, is if maybe the creators of Pinball FX3 would pick up those licenses. But even if they do, they're not going to announce anything clearly until the 30th has happened, and you lose your opportunity to buy those tables. So for the summer sale, that's all I'm buying. Hopefully that gets me whatever trading cards or game mechanic they add on there. Trading cards now are exponentially more valuable than they were, say, about a year ago. because it's a lot harder for games to be approved to sell trading cards, and even achievement games, older achievement games now are exponentially more valuable, because old achievements games could have given you 6,000 games. New ones are being limited to 100. Like, Mahmoud Ada is on the chat. He says, "Hi Rydo, how are you?" I'm doing great. Actually getting back to recording some footage of other games. So when the summer sale happens, and I'll say it at the end of every recording I do today, as I say it in every recording, that would be the time that this is my big push to ask people to support me. My last line of defense to actually make any kind of income while doing all of this work of streaming and making footage is to ask people to help fund my collection, so I have more different games to play. So friend me on Steam and gift me games during the summer sale so you can get them nice and cheap, or buy games on the Humble Store or like Indie Gala, any place that gives you Steam codes, and direct message those to me on Twitter. Or if you don't want to choose any games and look through my wish list, which is a slightly curated list of games I'm at least interested in looking at, not all of which are good games by any desire, that you can also click the gift card button, and that locks you into certain increments of money that you can gift a gift card to me, but then that would be helpful too. During the summer sale would be the right time to gift me a gift card, because then I could spend that money during the summer sale. If I got a gift card after the summer sale happens, I'm probably not going to spend that money for a while. Probably not until the fall, like a Black Friday sale, a November sale, or Christmas sale, which last year on Steam, it certainly was weird how they basically had 3 sales for 3 months straight, and none of them were really great. The summer sale is the big sale, and more and more, if I wasn't buying the Pinball FX pack, I would be buying more practical things, larger games, AAA games, games that came out a lot earlier. Instead of a lot of my games are, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 25, 30 years old. I've certainly played some extremely old games, and a lot of that is because they are cheap during the summer sales, and it's easier to get up to my level of having 900 games if I'm buying a considerable amount of games that are cheap in bundles and such. But I've also kind of had no real luck on that. There's very little interest in people looking at those games, and it would have been really nice to play something like Deus Ex Mankind Divided the day it came out. It would be nice to maybe sit on a gift card and wait for Cyberpunk 2077 to come out and have that pre-ordered. Right now, The Evil Within 2, and as you buy new games, you have to make sure you get the Ultimate Edition, or I'll have to go buy the DLC, which makes it more difficult for me, certainly, to play the game if I have to go find DLC packs. The Evil Within 2 is a great example of a game that should be that kind of is at the top of my list, because I played The Evil Within 1. I would like to play The Evil Within 2 and move that series forward and stay on top of that. In a similar way, Resident Evil 7 makes a lot of sense. Those are very similar games, but I played Resident Evil 6, I played Resident Evil 5, I couldn't get Resident Evil 4 to run on my PC, There is a desire to buy a new video card when the 1180s come out. So that is a non-Steam thing I want to save money for too. Right now all I'm trying to do is cast spells, by the way. Let's see, there's probably a long list of games, and tomorrow I think I might do an extra live stream in which I decide to go through my entire Steam wish list and we start sorting things and looking at games. It will be an entire live stream, I guess, built around just e-begging. That's all I can do these days. I don't have enough subscribers or fans, frankly, that I think I could get a Patreon. Unless some fan was actually to tell me, if you started a Patreon, I would donate $5 or more, and I'd really stay committed to it. I don't think that I could even start a Patreon and get enough income that Patreon wouldn't just eventually shut down the account for inactivity. I kind of like to do that. I'd kind of love to have a Patreon and take any chance of Google and YouTube getting a cut out away. And then I could be a lot more relaxed about my channels not having enough subscribers according to Google, my channel not having enough watch time. There is a slight issue. Linus Tech Tips apparently got a strike for making a spam video because he made a text-only video saying, "Hey, I'm on Twitch now, go check me out." And it's a prime example of how YouTube just did not explain nor enforce its spam rules correctly from the beginning. Like, I totally get that YouTube would say, no, you can't make a 5-second video saying, "Hey, I'm streaming on Twitch, come watch me on this competitor." But they've been letting people do that for at least 2 years. I've seen tons and tons of YouTubers put up videos saying, "Hey, I'm on Twitch," and then they delete those videos relatively quickly once they start streaming. You certainly can't do the opposite. You can't put a video when you're an affiliate partner on Twitch saying, "Hey, I'm streaming on YouTube, go check me out." Like, Twitch from the beginning set that rule obvious. Any company doesn't want you driving your audience away from that company. However, you can almost forgive all creators for telling their YouTube fans to go on Twitch, which no real progress has been made on my Twitch account. It is now acting as a backup, and that's kind of it. As far as viewers, subscribers, followers, whatever. Like, it'd be nice if I grew that so that maybe I could apply for affiliate status on Twitch, but I don't think that's really gonna happen, and I don't think Twitch has all the features that I would like, nor all the eyeballs that I would like. It would be kind of ironic, I guess, if YouTube started getting rid of people. Captain Sparkles, for example, made a video saying, "Twitch, please don't strike me because I've done this exact same thing," which is, for the most part, that was just a clickbait video. But it would be kind of funny if some of the big YouTube video game streamers all got kicked off or left YouTube, but I don't think that helps my channel any. I think that just hurts YouTube in general. And if YouTube becomes a worse place and less people go to it, that doesn't help my channel either. So ideally, I'd actually like everybody to succeed. a rising tide lifts all boats type logic. It's not. Yeah, nothing else is gonna really happen otherwise. Let's see, where were we? There's a game on Steam called Deadly Delivery. Seems like you're driving a radio-controlled car. It looks almost like a lunar buggy, but it's just an RC controlled car going through several environments that look kind of like asset flips. I'm not sure if I never played with remote control cars, so I'm not sure if there's actually a significant amount of fun playing with an RC controlled car in virtual video games. It seems like you're putting a hat on a hat, and the idea of driving an RC car is probably a lot more fun when it's in the real world doing real tricks. If you're just driving something in a video game, the fact that it's an RC car doesn't mean anything. I also just realized that I have been saying radio controlled RC car redundantly, so apologies for that. So yeah, Deadly Delivery is a bad name for this game. It's basically an asset flip that looks decent enough, and inherently we more and more with everyday asset flips. The definition in my mind of what an asset flip is getting wider, and they are getting a lot better looking. And so I'm at the point where what I call an asset flip is just a shorthand for disconnected, illogical assets in the same game. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article following the hardware exploit. Nintendo bans Switch consoles with pirated games. We kind of have been hearing this for a while now, but maybe just it hasn't been really reported. For the most part, I think if you're going to mod or allow your Switch to run unsigned software, undigitally signed software, you probably need a mod in there to stop it from ever connecting to the internet ever again. Like, you need to stop it from getting any updates, you need to stop it from getting to the eShop, you need to stop it from doing anything. At least getting to the Nintendo part of the internet. You could still probably install a homebrew channel and download updates through the homebrew channel, but I think we're very much an early seems like we're in early days for Switch modding, and it's very, very possible that we will see a second revision of the Switch that doesn't have this hardware exploit. I'm not even sure the Switch as a console right now is a good Switch to mod. Like, it would be a lot easier to go get a Wii U or a Wii and mod that and have a whole plethora of homebrew games and experiments than it would be to try to do Switch and play pirated games on the Switch. There aren't even that many games available for the Switch compared to the Wii or Wii U. Wii U is, I believe, backward compatible with Wii games, so like you get a Wii U, you mod that, you probably could pirate a much larger library of slightly older games. I don't know. Let's move on now. Steam now has developer and publisher homepages. The new feature is now in beta, makes it easier and more pleasant to follow along with your favorite studios. I started seeing this a couple of days ago when I was clicking on developers, and it seems to be an opt-in system. So the publishers and developers have to actually go in there and kind of make their own YouTube homepage equivalent. And frankly, it doesn't really seem nicer to me. It doesn't seem more understandable or logical.
Jaina versus Jaina.
What it seems like it does is it allows the publishers to highlight games and de-emphasize DLC, and kind of there's a coming soon banner, there's a latest games banner. Looking at the pictures right now, I'll probably see it once I start looking at games a little bit more too, but I'm not sure it's as smooth and logical. I'm not sure, honestly, if Steam shouldn't start changing the blue a little bit too. Get it a slightly shade of blue with every update until eventually it's to a dark gray. Because the whole Steam and blue color thing has been going on for a long time. I think it's time for a full refresh. But you don't want to drastically change things because people will complain about that. So slowly shift the color over the course of a year, which many companies have done. Generally speaking, Steam is going to need to get closer and closer to something like an Excel sheet of just hundreds of numbers on the screen, hundreds of bits of data, squeezing as much information as possible on the screen as more and more things happen and are available for purchase. Right now the front page is an infinite scroll to show you a lot, but just that first part of the first page before you scroll down is mostly full of large thumbnail pictures, which that's not really gonna cut it in the long run. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article. Unity is moving its entire infrastructure to Google Cloud for connected games. Unity is migrating its entire infrastructure over to Google Cloud as part of a new partnership which will allow game developers to access development tools from a new feature titled Connected Games. So, like, for instance, this Unity game, Hearthstone, now one would assume is going to use Google Connected Cloud in the background for some of its multiplayer interactions and such. That's what I assume it is. Yes. In fact, even as soon as I click the page, the first image it shows is Hearthstone, with, I think, Human Fall Flat, or no, Gang Beasts, and I can't even see that third one. Let's see. So this is back-end stuff. It's not Unity having its programming interface run through Google, which could be a different way of saying something very similar. And it doesn't seem like it's probably going to be too much of a change. It's pretty common for people to move from Google Cloud to Amazon, Amazon's online services, which Amazon has been a big provider of online services, and Microsoft has its own online services. I think it's called Azure. Oddly, I don't think there really is too much of an Apple online service because Apple kind of hates games, and online services and cloud services are more game building. There is the iTunes backup and stuff like that, so Apple has some of that, but not in a way that other software can use. Yeah, that's interesting. We'll see if it makes games run better. Your Game has an article. Disney is making a Nintendo Switch TV game show. Basically for the Disney Channel. It will be called the Nintendo Switch Family Showdown Contest. Families will get on the show and play games like Mario Odyssey and Splatoon and such, and I imagine they'll be given specific challenges and not just playing the games in general forever. Let's see. Well, we're done with this. Let's go ahead and move over. It really does feel like 6 weeks. Less than 6 weeks we're gonna have a new expansion come out for Hearthstone, and I've seen really no indication of that. I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the Time Tanker point we just have a new expansion come out as a surprise. Let's move over to the European account. So unlike Family Double Dare, which in all honesty, the Double Dare and Physical Challenge shows don't work now in the United States because a lot of people are a lot less healthy, a lot more obese at young ages, and just unhealthy in general. Healthcare is a nightmare and insanely expensive in the United States. The laws are a lot different, so you can't get away with as much. Let's do this tap and roll. Let's see.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
We may have to turn down the audio again. Let's see. This this. Let's see. These two. These two. These two. I don't have two of these. Interesting. These two. Looking for this one. And trying to see if there's something else that would make sense here. This and that. And hit. Let's try that. So yeah, it also wouldn't be the first time that there was a game show where people played games, video games, arcade games on TV. That has happened before, but I seriously doubt it will be any more popular than any other Disney show. I know one of the producers of a lot of the shows got fired or no longer or parted ways with Disney, so they had some some time spots to fill that they would have filled with something else almost certainly. So yeah, I imagine it'll maybe go a season unless it gets really big. We're still getting that audio, that odd audio choice. Let's see. Just gonna end my turn here. So a couple of days ago, there was this flat 2D platformer type game that in a lot of ways looks like a Zelda, Legend of Zelda from NES, an NES style game that so many of them are made. And it was called something Hunt 2, and it was like Treasure Hunt Guy 2, or it was the name of the game, and I was feeling very generous, and I said, sure, I'll let that in, even though more than likely I shouldn't have. Well, now there's this game that's a Wonder Boy inspired action-adventure RPG platformer NES looking game. It looks a lot better than Treasure Hunt Guy 2, and it's gotten press from like new from the mainstream like big video game media, which slightly also, I don't know why that inherently means it's better than the game I saw, but in a small way I kind of feel like it might be, just on that alone. So yeah, this just looks better, and this game is called Aggleos, Agggelos. And so yeah, I'm gonna put this on the wish list. It's 20% off for $11.99, so the price is high, certainly. But I think this is worth looking at. So when the Steam Summer Sale happens tomorrow, as it should be, I imagine I'll take Treasure Hunt Guy off my list and keep the other game on my list. Let's see. The only other game actually made by this developer was made in 2014. It's called One Quest, and it has a 58% positive mixed reviews. Interesting. And looking at One Quest, I can certainly see that it at least suffers from looking like an RPG Maker game of some sort. So, but it seems like they also took the time to let's see. If only I'd played this first, I could have gone on forever. I guess I could probably double my attack multiple times next turn, though, and win. Gematsu has an article. New Gundam Breaker details free post-launch Gunpla distribution. Gundam OO Diver and Gundam Legatus will be added. I believe New Gundam Breaker was delayed a little bit, but I'm still rather interested in seeing it come out, particularly in the West. Of course, you're gonna have to be a pretty big Gundam fan, bigger than me, to know the Gundam models by their name. Like, that's something I certainly don't know. Right. We're hoping this works. Well, actually, if I play this, oh, you suck. I was gonna play this, and then I was gonna double for 0, double for 0, double for 0. Oh well. So goes my fun. Like, maybe we'll play it again and try that. Next game we have on Steam is called Arcade Love, which looks like it is a combination of several Japanese arcade games that I don't recognize, and none of them look particularly good. So yeah, there's definitely some weirdness there. I'm gonna hold on to all of these. Yeah, I don't see any reason why Arcade Love is 10% off for $17.09. That's incredibly high. I don't see any reason why I'd want to play this game. Let's see. It's from a company called Triangle Service that has a bunch of Japanese games, but I don't recognize any of them. And while most of them are rated positive, they must be Japanese only releases that are pretty niche. Next game we have is a game called Crying Is Not Enough. It came out June 19th and it's rated mostly negative with 25% of 51 user reviews rating it positive. They say it's a third-person survival horror game. The player has to face enemies using weapons and a survival mechanism. He has to solve various puzzles and make progress by slowly unfolding the studio. It's tagged with gore, violent, survival horror, indie action, and horror. And the cutscene that I'm looking at the trailer looks really good. So I'm at a very large, confusing loss here as far as why this game looks like it has polish on it and looks like it would be a good game, like a AAA level quality graphics type game, and it looks like it could easily have been a sequel to Alan Wake. Every single thing I am seeing tells me this looks like a AAA game, so why in the world is it so negatively reviewed? Let's see. It's 10% off for $17.99. There's a tag here, a recent thing that says feedback and other issues. First of all, we want to thank each and every one of you for supporting us. With that said, we want to inform you that we take serious into account your issues. And then I have to click here.
The light shall burn you.
Let's go ahead and play this. And then return. For us, Crying Is Not Enough is a product that we wanted to publish it on Steam and get over with. It is a 5-year project. It is not a product that we wanted to publish on Steam and get over with. It is a 5-year project that we aim to support. So we carefully study all of your comments, and we are already working on the first patch that will be available very soon. Okay, so what are the complaints? I guess looking to the responses is not going to be helpful. Darn it. Well, I'm not going to try it for a third time to pull off that trick. I think there's probably something better I can do with my time than do that. Plus, I'd like to have the audio back up to a reasonable volume. So what is this negative review? For what his first not recommended review is 0.7 hours. For what I've played so far, I don't think it's a good nor bad game. Nevertheless, it needs some improvements. For example, sync audio in a lot of cutscenes. Subtitles need to be improved, at least in Spanish. There are a lot of errors in some phrases. There's a lot of frames per second drops for me, at least, and although I have a good computer. Item menu, if there's one thing you need to tell the player how to open it. Objective menu or something where you can see what your objective is. So that's it. Next not recommended review has 0.6 hours. I understand this game was a passion project for the devs, a chance to make and release a survival horror game in the same as Silent Hill and Alan Wake, but it falls very short. Bad voice acting, subtitles that are different from the dialogue spoken, Unskippable cutscenes are not the best way to start a game. From the start of the game forces you to watch these cheesy cutscenes and makes you sit through load screen after load screen as you move from one small area to another. Now I know this is beloved horror games in the past had you go through load screens when moving from room to room, but that was in the early to mid 90s of the PlayStation. It's 2018 on PC. Next not recommended review says crazy amounts of loading screens, sound non-sync, subtitles not accurate. A helicopter is a plane apparently, feels clumsy. So here's another one. Mediocre graphics, awful character models and faces, clumsy camera movies, no interaction indicators. Like a lot of complaints here. Wow, so this is probably the first instance I've come across a game that sells itself very well and looks very good, and it doesn't look like an asset flip. Even though I keep saying asset flips more and more are being done so well that it's hard to immediately tell. And yet this game still isn't good enough. So Crying Is Not Enough is the only game from this developer. There's nothing else to really support this, people, or keep an eye on them. I don't see any reason why I'd want to follow this game in the hopes that like a year from now it turns out really good. 5-year passion project feels like maybe a lot of it was done in the arts element and there was a lack of skill maybe in the gameplay, game engine element, possibly in the writing element since it's just a horror game. So somebody on this team probably very good at their job with the animating, but even at that I would say that's probably in cutscene animations that look very good, because there's also complaints about character models in the game. Looks very pretty, but thank goodness there are reviews out there so I don't get tricked. It's been an hour and we are roughly halfway through the European account. We got this card pack, so let's open it. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we just have a 2-hour stream today. That would be nice. But we'll have to see. We'll definitely have to see how it goes. Particularly, it's a matter of how fast I can get through news, and I'm not really getting through news very fast. I never am. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell, and comment, and watch every second of my videos. I know that's asking way too much. I need to rethink how I wrap up my recordings. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, particularly right now, since the Steam Summer Sale is happening tomorrow, friend me on Steam, gift me a game, gift me a gift card. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.